All right. One thing I'd like to talk about in this video here, this short little video, is measuring flour. Um, I honestly, when I'm baking, I like to measure flour by weight. I have a nice little digital scale here, and then, being the geeky engineer that I am, I like to actually measure it in grams and kilograms, not in ounces and pounds. But the purpose here is I'm trying to illustrate that when measuring flour, you have to be careful because flour is a substance that is what's called compressible. So I have 2 quarter cups of flour here, and they should have the same amount of flour in it. What I've done is I put a bowl here on a scale here, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it in ounces. And so I'm going to take this 1/4 cup of flour and dump it in, and I dump it in, and the scale tells me that this amount of flour that I just dumped in weighs 1.5 ounces. Okay, so this 1/4 cup contained 1.5 ounces. So I'm going to then dump that back into my flour container here. And I'm zeroed out. Now I'm going to take this 1/4 cup of flour, dump it in, and that weighs 1.25 ounce. Now you might say it's only 1/4 ounce, that's not that big of a deal, but it is actually a fairly significant difference in weight, especially when you're talking about measuring cups of flour, because you could now be talking about having a whole ounce of flour extra or a whole ounce of flour less when measuring a cup of flour. And that's why sometimes with recipes, if you're not careful with measuring your flour, you can have very different results coming from them. Now, one way I like to measure flour, people will call it the spoon and level method. I don't actually use a spoon. We have this nice little scoop here for our flour. And so what I do is I just go down and get a scoop of it, and I kind of even shake it off a little bit and kind of just let it kind of shake in there. And I let it mound up over the top and then just brush it straight off the side there. So I'm kind of just letting it fall into the cup. And then if I put this back on here, I get 1.25 ounces again. So it's more consistent that way by doing the spoon and level method. Where if you use this and you're trying to scoop it here and you're pressing up against the side, that's where the flour starts to compact down, and you might get more flour than what you are intended for. So just a little quick tip on how to measure flour.